When I first started running, there was so much I didn't know that now I wish I could go back and tell myself. Back then, I didn't know how fast I needed to run, how far I needed to run, what do recovery days look like, cross training, do I have to run a marathon? I just felt so uncertain and frustrated. So if you're new to running or you're feeling a little bit stuck, here are a few lessons I learned along the way that every runner could benefit from. Progress feels easier before it looks faster. Now, I know when it comes to running, we all are chasing pace, and that's our first indication of what we think progress should look like. But really feel is your first sign of making progress. When I first started, 30 minutes in the beginning felt really challenging at any pace, honestly. But over time, when I kept showing up, that 30 minutes got really comfortable. So my biggest takeaway to you would be, if you're looking for signs of progress, pay attention to rate of perceived effort at the same pace. Warming up is more than just stretching. Now look, I too am guilty of hitting a few static stretches and just going out for a run, but dynamic stretching is so essential before you go out for your run. You really want to prime your body, prepare your muscles, activate your body for the motions and movements it's going to continue for miles. So think about high knees, butt kicks, even lateral lunges. Open up those hips so your strides feel way more comfortable as you get started versus those first steps feeling really crunchy. Rest is part of getting in shape. It really is a common misconception that if you're not running, you're losing fitness, but that's not the case here. Rest and recovery is where the adaptations from all that running that breaks your body down happen and comes together to help you become a stronger runner. My biggest piece of advice to you would be let rest days be rest days. Think low effort, low impact to make sure you're taking care of you. You're a runner with or without a marathon. Now, I love a marathon, and if that's one of your goals, by all means, go get it. But running a marathon is not the only distance to qualify you as a real runner. I remember when I first started and I was in my community, there was some incredible runners that would just be ripping and running. And when I asked them what distance they were training for, it was 10K, 5K, even a mile. And I asked them, would you run a marathon? And it wasn't even a consideration for them. And I share that with you just to remind you that your run goals are your own. And even though the marathon gets a lot of the spotlight and a lot of the hype, it's not the only distance. My biggest piece of advice, takeaway that I cannot stress enough, is running is for you at any distance, and it all deserves to be celebrated. Progress is not measured at the marathon. That's not the only measure of success. Consistency and joy is. Today's time does not define you. I know a lot of runners have been here before. You're showing up for all your training, you're hitting all your workouts, you're feeling strong, and that one time you finish a workout, you look down at your watch and you notice your time is slower than it was 2 weeks ago. So does that mean you've gotten slower? Absolutely not. When we're thinking about progress, there are so many things that impact every single run. It could be life, stress, lack of sleep, under-fueled. So my biggest takeaway would be, if your pace or time is slower, or maybe the run feels a little bit harder than it did last week, really focus on measuring progress within the long term. That is a better tell of how your training is going. Take the last gel. When it comes to fueling, we all know the importance of fueling, yes, before the run, and definitely after to replenish those carbohydrates and get protein to start rebuilding the muscles that we tore down during our run. But don't skip fueling in run, which means, like I said, take the last gel. I know after a long run especially, the last thing I want to do is take another gel. But recovery for the next run starts in the run that you're actually in. Strength training makes you a better runner. Now, I've been strength training for quite some time, but I didn't know how strongly strength training translated to not only making me a stronger runner when we're thinking about being more powerful, helping with my stride efficiency and overall running economy, but also help reduce my risk of injury. Strength training is one of those activities that more runners definitely need to add to their weekly training, and it doesn't require a lot of time. 1 or 2 short sessions a week, really focusing on those movements that are going to translate to your running, thinking about single leg strength, core stability, and posterior chain development. So think glutes, hamstrings, and calves. A missed run is not the end of the world. Now, I'll admit I'm a bit of a perfectionist, especially when it comes to my training. And sometimes when I miss one workout, I feel like I've ruined my entire training plan. But let's think about it in this context. If you had a car with 4 tires and one of those tires went flat, you wouldn't go around and slash the other 3 tires, right? You'd fix that one tire. So thinking about your training and your workout, you miss one workout, that's not the end of your training plan. You just make up the next one. And experienced runners know that life happens, things get in the way, and missed workouts are just part of it. So my takeaway to you is don't let that one missed workout impact the next. Just show yourself some grace, show up for the next one, you got this. Easy running is the foundation of everything. If you are new to running, the most important thing you can do is build your aerobic base. Your aerobic base is your body's ability to use oxygen efficiently while running. And the key is it's built during those easy runs. So I come from a volleyball background, a sport that is explosive and short bursts of energy. So when I got into running, I tried to bring a lot of those elements with me. Run fast, run hard, all of the time. But I found myself feeling very frustrated. I wasn't making any progress no matter how fast I ran or how far I felt like I was going. My time wasn't changing, and more than that, it didn't feel any easier. So I had to ask myself, what am I missing? And when it comes to running, it really is that aerobic base. So my takeaway to you would be, if you feel like your running has hit a plateau, you could be running your runs too hard, and easy running really is the key. Discipline beats motivation. So picture this. You've just watched a marathon, or it's a beautiful day outside and you're feeling really inspired to go for a run. In those moments, you're feeling motivated. But what about the moments when the wintry mix hits, it's dark in the morning, and life just gets in the way of you moving your body? This is where experienced runners know discipline beats motivation every single time, because life gets in the way and there's days where you just rather not go for a run. So I have 2 takeaways for you to really stay disciplined on your running journey. The first being, create a plan that gives you something to show up to and not have to think so much about what you need to do as far as your run. And the second one that I use a lot is running for time, because when motivation isn't there, discipline really is key. So if I can commit to a time, whether it's 10, 20, 30 minutes is my sweet spot, more often than not, the motivation comes and I'm able to just keep on running. It's you versus you out there. I know when I first started running, and a lot of beginner runners share the same feeling, we look around us for inspiration and motivation, which is great until it isn't. For myself, I would look at everyone's paces, races, goals, and try to keep up with them, which eventually just made me feel discouraged, disempowered, and almost led to some overtraining. But when I just stopped and asked myself, what do I want to get out of this? What goals do I want to chase? How do I want to feel? Running became so much more enjoyable. So my biggest takeaway for you would be is to focus on you. What do you want to get out of your run experience? What do you want to chase after your goals? And really prioritize the person that you're looking at in the mirror. So those are a few things that I wish I knew on my running journey that hopefully will be helpful to you. And if you want some more guidance, check out Runna. Use code Runna TV for 2 weeks free. That's all for now. I'm Kayla Jeter. I'll see you next time.